Blog Talk Radio.
Please take all the necessary precautions to protect your constitution while listening to this broadcast. 3, 2, 1. Coming to you live via the internet. It's time for Rage Against the Regime. Let's get ready to rumble! Finally, a show for patriots, defending the Constitution and uncovering the truth at every turn, bringing you exclusive interviews and covering the topics the mainstream media doesn't dare to touch. Call in and join the discussion at 929-477-3565. That's 929-477-3565. And now, here are your hosts, Bobby Who's the Man and Becky Williams. Rage Against the Regime.
I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man. Yes, I am, yes, I am, yes, I am. I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Rage Against the Regime proudly presents to you the 5-time podcast champions of the world. I'm full of shit. Welcome to Rage Against the Regime podcast, and yes, I am your host, Bobby Who's the Man, as always, and along with me is my trusty sidekick, Becky Williams. What's happening, sister?
Oh, man, there's a lot of things going on here in Texas, that's for sure. It's been a beautiful day here. Not such a beautiful day for a couple of dead terrorists over in Garland. Did you hear about what happened, brother?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, I have. But you know what? Since you're so close to the scene, why don't you break it down for us?
Well, basically, Michelle Gellar is an amazing woman. She really advocates for the crimes against the Jewish community. She's definitely a truth teller when it comes to Islam. And basically, they hate her with a vengeance. But you remember the rally I'm sorry, it's Pam Gellar. You remember the rally that I went to out in Garland when the Muslims were holding the Sharia law conference, and the head of CAR was there.
Absolutely.
Right.
You were microphoned up, yeah.
Right. Well, Pam Gellar was one of our, she was actually the speaker. And I spent about 10 minutes with her before she went up on the podium to speak at the rally. This woman is an incredible book of knowledge. She knows the Quran front and back, the history of Islam. She knows essentially what they're all about. She's a real warrior and advocate for putting a shoe up the butt of the Islamic State. Recently she had to go up against CARE and the Nation of Islam, the American chapter, concerning an ad that was a very truthful ad, but it had very negative content toward the Muslim community. And at first, when you looked at the ad, you would think, oh, my God, they're letting Muslims put that on buses. But actually what it was is it was a statement, I believe, that was made by an imam concerning what they had stated about eradication of the Jews. So that was pretty incredible. But what we had is a free speech conference in the same facility. The facility that the Muslims use, they leased out from the Garland Independent School District, and we were not very happy about that. We were kind of in an uproar about it because we didn't like the fact, due to what's going on with Common Core, that they were using a public school facility to hold their hate conference, where they actually turned individuals that were not Muslim even though they had paid $30 for their ticket, they actually turned them away from the conference and would not allow entry. They gave them their money back. And of those individuals that were turned away back in, I guess, what was it, January? When did we have that? Do you remember the rally? Do you remember what month that was? It may have been before then.
Yeah, I don't. If you're asking me, I don't remember. I don't remember what month.
Yeah, it might have been February, January. But anyway, they even turned away a local Fox 4 news reporter, and they wouldn't allow him in this conference. It was, we had to question, well, what the hell are you saying in there if you don't want us in there? You know what I mean? Anyway, so Pam Geller goes back to Garland, and her organization decides that they want to lease that facility as well. If the Muslims can, we can kind of thing, right? So she holds a free speech conference in Garland. But basically what it was is it was a cartoon depicting Muhammad, and it was very much in support of Charlie, that they murdered over in Europe this past year for his depiction of the cartoons that were drawn of Muhammad. But anyway, so Pam holds this conference, and the winner of the drawing, the best drawing of Muhammad, would get $10,000. So people pay to go to this conference. She increased security. Their organization increased the security by, I think it was 40 extra police officers because they had already received threats for them being at the center over in Garland. And so what happened was this. So you got two terrorists, Muslims. And by the way, the Islamic Nation has already stood up and taken credit for the attack. And what's that imam's name over in England that's such a pain in the butt to everybody? And he actually came over here and marched on our Capitol here in Texas.
I don't remember his name, Abu something. But he's the one that goes on everybody's show. He went on Hannity's show. He went on this one show, that one show, and they tried to have a civil conversation with him, and he tore them apart.
So anyway, he was mocking us today and said that we should know better than to allow cartoons of Muhammad to be drawn. That we would we'd get smacked for that. Americans would get smacked for that. So he's making a broad statement, and he's just an ass anyway. But so what we have is we've got Pam Geller and her group at the center, at the Caldwell Center in Garland. It's owned by the Independent School District there, and right before it lets out, you have two terrorists in a vehicle who roll up and fire shots at the security guard. And it's my understanding that they had two rifles, semi-automatic rifles, in their backpacks. They draw down on this unarmed security guard or officer. I believe he worked for the Independent School District, who was at the gate of entry to the parking lot. And so they throw down on him, and he God bless him. He got shot in the foot. He actually survived. He's already been released from the hospital. But then the police officers that were also there running security very quickly returned fire. The very brief gunfire ensued between the two parties, and subsequently both of the terrorists are dead. And what's most interesting, Bobby, is just hours, literally just hours before this, one of the terrorists actually got in his car and went over there to attack the facility. And thank God I want to say kudos to the Garland Police Department, because we could have had a lot of dead people, but they stopped them. They never got anywhere near the building. It's my understanding. But anyway, he had tweeted out Texas attack. And if that's not enough, this really kind of infuriates me. he's already on an FBI watch list. He's already had an incident where he had been drawn in and questioned, or brought in question for activity, terroristic activity, and going over to Africa and training with terrorist groups and coming back to the state. But this guy's from Arizona, so he actually drove in for this. It was premeditated, and he's bragging about it on social media network. Now, how is it that if you're on an FBI watch list, he obviously had to communicate to the Nation of Islam that he was doing what he was doing. He's tweeting this information out. How the hell is it he even makes it there, Bobby? How does that happen?
Well, it doesn't make any sense to me how it all happened. They've had this guy on a watch list or whatever, and, doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, congrats to the police department. You can bet that they were prepared for this whole situation. But I give them a lot of credit because they were standing guard and they were waiting on it. It's a shame that the security guard had to get shot or whatever. But I give the police department there a lot of credit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so. I do too, Bobby. But I'm really concerned that this guy, they're saying, has linked himself to the ISIS.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Seriously, we already know ISIS is in Texas. That's a confirmed. One of them was picked up in Houston. We have confirmation from Briggs off of InfoWar, who went over and confirmed in Trinidad, right outside of Juarez. There's a training camp. I mean, our government knows they're here, and I can't help but think that they ignored and allowed this to happen. They ignored what he was doing to allow this to happen. He drove from Arizona. They've been watching him for years. So, I mean, all I can speculate just based on that alone is that they intended to let the incident occur. Question is, why would they do that? This guy is, his name was Elton Simpson. He was from Arizona. They're saying that he was a suspected gunman, but he was one of the gunmen. That was an earlier report, so it's been confirmed. But his ties to ISIS, there's still no confirmation as to the other guy. I have not heard if they have actually released his name, but they are speculating that this individual that was with him was actually his roommate. And again, folks, these people drove in from another state to bring jihad or terrorist act to the state of Texas. And that in itself is pretty scary to me as an individual in the state of Texas. Now, go ahead, Bobby. Go ahead.
No, what I was going to say is, they tweeted about this for months and months in advance. Okay, it's very clear that the feds knew about this. All the alphabet agencies knew about this. How the hell do you think that they got to, that they figured out who he was and figured out his house and everything in one day? Okay, because most of these guys don't have identification with their true addresses and stuff like that on there. Never happens. Okay, so all that just means that they were on to them. They just didn't want to let anybody know about it. They didn't put the word out or anything else. But you know what? Thank God that they were there on top of it, okay? Because can you have any idea how many casualties we'd be talking about right now? Because nobody's talking about the explosives that they had in the car, okay?
Well, they're trying to tell us locally that there were no explosives in the car, that it actually looked like that because they detonated the car, but that makes no sense to me. They hit it with an EMP detonation bomb or something. to that effect. So, but they left the body there for hours, so we can expect we're going to hear a lot of crap from CARE about why their Muslims were so disrespected and left out there for many hours on the ground. But they actually had to clear to make sure they weren't wearing bomb vests. They had to make sure there was no explosives in the car. So I know why they did what they did, but you can bet your butt we're going to hear about it.
Yeah, we're just having technical issues because our producer closed out the studio on accident, and they're trying to reopen the studio, and we're trying to get it figured out, and that's why I'm muting myself and not sure.
Oh, that's fine. You're fine. Hey, on another side of that, I do have someone. I receive phone calls as soon as that happened. My phone started blowing up. I'm the apparently go-to person in Texas to find out what the hell's going on and get word out to everybody else. But anyway, what happened was my phone started blowing up, and a young lady that I'd met at the rally that we attended and broadcast from prior in Garland, she actually rang my phone. She was one of the first phone calls I received, and JoJo called my phone as well. So I had them both on the phone at the same time. But anyway, Wendy is her name, and Wendy will be joining us in a bit. She doesn't get off work until 4:30, but she's going to give us some more information as to what's going on. I do have some very discouraging breaking news. If you'll hold on, I'll give it to you. The officer that was shot in the face in New Jersey, in New York City, he actually died today from his injuries sustained when a man shot him in the face. So Brian Moore, 25, died after 2 days in the hospital, and he was sitting in an unmarked car Saturday when he was shot in the face by a repeat offender, a repeat felon, and as you can imagine, yes, it is one of those thugs that roams the street, Demetrius Blackwell, 35 of Queens. They did arrest the perp, but again, I need to announce that Officer Brian Moore, 25, who was shot in the face by Demetrius, is deceased. And so I would like to send my condolences out to Brian's family. And he leaves behind a father and an uncle and some cousins. He had only been with the police department since 2010. So you guys be vigilant out there. We've got a lot of things going on. We have total disregard for law enforcement at this point in the country. They're being targets are being painted on their foreheads, and we have a lot of. They keep saying it's radical Islam. There is no good Muslim based on history and the Quran. So be very aware of your surroundings. They are saying we will be receiving another attack. We don't know if that's just threats or hearsay, false flag information being put out there. But I want people, especially in Texas, please be mindful of your surroundings and try to keep your family safe. Bobby, have they got the board back up yet, or do I need to go in and run the board, brother?
She is, oh, my God. She's trying to figure out, I'm trying to use my brain here, and I'm kind of lost on what's going on. She closed out the board. I don't know how the hell it closed out, whatever. And she's saying that she has to get back into the board. So I think what she has to do is she has to close out the little, yes, press 1 to start. Yes, that's what you need to do. She's sending me messages, and I'm trying to keep up with that and you and everything else. So I believe that all she has to do is press 1 to get back in again, because she got taken out, and now she's trying to get back in again. So she needs to close everything out, reopen it, and open up press that little box on the 1 for direct connect. So she should be okay. So I think she's all right. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just, because I'm lost, because she's trying to explain to me what's going on, and I'm like, doesn't sound Just doesn't sound familiar to me, so I didn't know what was going on. So, I don't know what to do here. So,
well, let me and tell her if she needs me to. I can pull up the board.
I don't think you can, Becky. I don't think you can.
Well, let me check.
Because she already did. Okay. She needs to shut down.
Hello.
She needs to shut down the whole damn thing.
She's talking about it.
And she needs to shut down the whole thing.
I did shut the whole thing down, but it's only giving me one option, and that's to disconnect.
Okay.
Hold
Hold on, sister. I'm gonna see what I can do.
Yeah, because you're on with us, so I'm not really sure what's going on. I mean, you just talked to us.
The direct connect button. Oh, here it came up. Here it is. Let me the direct connect button went away.
There you go. Once you close it and reopen it, it comes back up.
But I don't want to be doing this from the house phone.
I really don't know.
It without doing it from the house phone.
Okay, I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. I'm kind of lost. I mean, as long as you can see it and we're up and going, we're good. But one other thing I want to touch on, Becky, before we get a little bit further into it, going another way. I think she should be. I think you got it up though, right? You're up and going now.
She's got it up and I've got it up. So we're good.
Okay, very good. So we got it good. Okay, awesome. I want to talk about Tom. Tom's going to be joining us, I believe, today. A lot of you that are listening right now are probably listening for the reason that we posted originally, and that was because Tom Lupshu from Bunker Report is supposed to be joining us today. It's not going to be for very long because Tom's at work, and he has a lot of stuff going on. If we can get any bit of time out of Tom, that would be awesome. Tom's a very, very busy man, and he what he does for a living, he's got a lot of contracts and stuff, and they got him running around like a madman right now. So I'm just hoping we can get any time whatsoever with him because there's a lot to talk about with him. Weather related, prepping. Now, Dabu 7 posted a video today of all these sea creatures that are coming in to shore. Something called blue sails, I think they're called. Denise probably knows what they are. They all washed up on the beach. There's like millions of them that washed up on the beach, and the government is trying to say, oh, it's because it's been real windy and sails on their back. And it's like, well, that wouldn't make any sense because they've been around for thousands of years or hundreds of years, and all of a sudden they good for you. Thank you. I'm glad you did. They say that these things have been around for hundreds of years, and all of a sudden they just wash up on a beach in California. Well, how come they haven't done that before because of their little sails?
Well, no,
they got on their back.
Bobby, they actually have. There's a report that August 1st in 2014 that there were millions of those as well invading the West Coast beaches and dying off. It says that an invasion is afoot along the beach from Oregon to California. Millions of glassy purple jellyfish-like sea creatures that look like sailboats have been washing up on shore. They typically live in an open ocean, but when warm water and storms draw them near the shore, the wind blows them onto the beach where they actually die. And so we did have an incident, and that makes sense because we've had some pretty erratic weather, honestly, lately. So and it probably has something to do with the weather.
And the drought. I would think that the drought has a lot to do with it also. They're having a big problem in California right now, especially in the south and the southern part of California. They're having a problem with the drought. So, that could have a lot to do with it also, so you never know.
Right.
Let me give out the phone number before we start getting into it. Even though we're not going to get the calls for a little while, we're going to cover some things going on that happen in Texas and so on. But we're going to give out the number 929-477-3565. That's 929-477-3565. And if any of you have any questions or any comments or anything that you want to share with us, please, by all means, press that number 1 button, and my beautiful producer will bring you in, and she will get you up on the comms with us and let us know that you're there, and we'll try to get you in as soon as we can.
Absolutely. So, Bobby, we've got a lot of other things that are going on right here in Texas. We had two counties or two cities pull out of the Jade Helm operation. One was Victoria, Texas, and the other was Goliad, Texas. Bobby, we're still going to press Governor Abbott to actually back off of his ludicrous statement that he is going to send our unarmed guard to monitor the Jade Helm operations. We truly do not want Jade Helm in the state of Texas, and those two cities have actually pulled out. Have you heard any more information about what's going on across the board, how many states Jade Helm is actually going to be in? Any more reports on closing of large department stores or command centers being set up that may look to be a permanent standing command center, not something that will be temporary? Or have you heard anything more about other foreign troops besides the vetted information we have on Turkey, Russia, and England's troops participating in these operations?
Well, if you ask the government, they're going to tell you that they only have 9 states participating in Jade Helm. Okay, then they change the number again. They sit there and keep saying, yeah, it's only going to be 9 states, and it's supposed to start in July. Well, we know it's not starting in July. It's already started, and, you know, in some areas we have huge military convoys that are all over the damn place, okay? No doubt about it. And now, you know, supposedly they've been adding all these states. They're not going to tell us exactly how many states it's going to be. I know that, okay, because a lot of this is elements of surprise. Now,
right.
If you remember about 2 weeks ago, they had that little thing that they did on TV, and they had a representative from the military there, and he was talking about Jade Helm, and, you know, and every time he was about to answer a question, he had to look over at some guy in a suit to see what
right.
he could answer and what he couldn't answer, and the guy would say yes, no, whatever. A lot of people asked a lot of good questions. Look, this is the thing that I'm going to say. Somebody, I don't remember the guy's name, and I watched a video that somebody sent to me on YouTube today, and I actually, you know, it brought up a good point. The guy said, listen, this is how the video went. The guy goes, do you guys remember the Rodney King riots? Yes. Do you remember how many people they had to pull in from different police departments and from the military to confine South Compton, California? Okay, yes, they brought in a lot of people. Yes. So he's like, well, they're never going to be able to impose martial law here because do you have any idea how many police and how many military they would have to use per capita, you know, in certain areas, and, you know, they have to draw out all these little police departments and so on and so forth and move them, you know, to, different areas and blah, 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 blah. And all that I could think in my mind was, I mean, the guy kind of does make some sense, but my response was Boston bombing. Do you remember how they shut Boston down in a heartbeat?
Yeah.
Nobody was moving. Nobody was breathing. Nobody was coming outside of their house if they didn't want you to. And that will be how they will do it. 97% of this population will do and say what their government tells them to. The 3% who we are, and the 3%ers, the Oath Keepers, the militias, the Constitutionalists, and the Patriots, we only equate to 3% of the population. The other 97% are all the people that rely upon their government to get food and to get cell phones and to get whatever, okay? They go to their government and they rely upon their government for security. So with that being said right there, that's how they are going to impose martial law, because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to do everything that they say to do with no questions asked. Okay? So that's just going to clear out the room for them to come after the 3% that know better and that are going to stand up to Jade Helm and to the tyrants and to the martial law and everything else. Now, how many states do I think, Mark, that this whole Jade Helm thing is going to be? I think that we're probably looking at about 20 states, to be honest with you. Okay? And then, places, big metropolises like Chicago. Here, this is the cities that I think that they're going to leave alone. Detroit, Chicago, Cleveland, Cincinnati. I think they're going to leave places like that alone, and I'm going to tell you why. They're democratic machines, okay? The cities are ran by a democratic political party, okay? Like the city of Chicago is probably like a 90% Democratic machine. 10% is probably, it's not Republican, but it's probably other, okay? Cities like that, they're not going to go into because they're heavy Obama supporters. It's going to be the other cities in the states like Texas that are red states that are going to stand up for what is right and what we believe in. They're not going to give in to the little gun laws and stuff like that. Okay? Trying to confiscate guns, do you know that the state of Pennsylvania, by itself, has enough people that own guns that are people that, they hunt, they shoot for sport and everything else than most of the other population around the whole United States. The state of Pennsylvania by itself has enough guns to pretty much, for the whole state, all the United States, it could help out like every state in the union and help them out gun-wise, because they say that in Pennsylvania, anybody that owns a gun owns at least 9 guns in the state of Pennsylvania. That is a huge number. Becky? Okay. I think Becky
I'm here.
Oh.
Chick, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. You've got cities like, here's the real problem. You got mayors and governors that are on board with this new world order governance and Obama and in the UN. And we just saw that prime example in Baltimore, Maryland. I mean, you just witnessed it. She is, the mayor there is the secretary for the National Democratic Party. Well, I mean, that says everything in itself. But when you have a governor who would step back and allow a mayor to create a martial law situation, put police officers' lives and civilian lives and businesses in danger, and the destruction, telling the police department, you just stand back and let them do what they need to do. Just let them go out and do whatever they want to do. I don't want you arresting anybody or, using force or tear gas or anything else. And at the end of the day, we've got 5 or 6 officers in jail. We see videos of them attacking white people, bashing a lady in the head with a trash can, dragging a guy out of a business, a white guy, and 14, 15 of these guys just jump on him, start stomping his head after they beat the hell out of him and kicking him in the face, and the mainstream media still has not reported on those incidents. Really, seriously. Gave very little coverage to the police officers that were hurt, injured, 5 of them hospitalized, and you have 200 businesses that have been destroyed in one of the most impoverished areas in the state of Maryland. So subsequently, they bring in this curfew, and then we see this spawn off across the country, and we find out that the Nation of Islam was thanked personally by the mayor that for helping her organize these protests. Did you get what I just said?
Yes.
Helping her organize the protest. I mean, she should be drawn up on charges and removed. She is an accomplice to every felony that was committed. Now, I'm kind of torn with the whole 200 businesses were destroyed. I don't want to see any city destroyed. Am I sorry that 99% of those businesses were owned by foreign invaders that have come over under a fictitious immigration or a refugee status, and our government gave them all the money in the world to prosper while the citizens that were born here are still impoverished in that area and on welfare benefits like what you just talked about? I'm really not disheartened about that part of it. It hurts the economy, though, and it hurts the city. So that is bothersome to me. But those people need to be raging about other things, not just one thing. They should be upset that the government continues to keep them downtrodden, like you said, and on every benefit. And they're happy being stupid like that and being low life and being lawless because, Bobby, honestly, this goes off across the nation. We have all these military vehicles that have been put in place and the aircraft and the foot soldiers and the special ops units. It's going to be very easy to call martial law across the country.
Yeah, but you know what? You know what a lot of people aren't thinking about? They're not thinking about all the people that are retired military that used to be special ops and that lost their positions with the military and everything else that can't stand what the military and what the government is doing right now. Those people are going to be the people that are probably going to be the ones that are going to say, you know what, enough, okay? We're here too, okay? You guys think that, you're special ops, we're special ops also, this and that. I just can't see homegrown American guys, that, mom, Chevrolet, pie, baseball, you know what I'm saying? I can't just see them just, going after us. That's why I think that they have to use the foreign invasion. And I'm going to tell you one thing that I'm really getting pissed off about, and you guys can get mad at me if you want to or whatever. Quit showing videos of gang members in Baltimore and saying, look, they all gathered together so they can, come together and go kill cops and go after the people and blah, blah, blah. I am so sick of seeing that, okay? It comes from these publications that nobody's ever heard of before, and they're putting it out. Oh, look at this picture of the Bloods and the Crips and some other gang and this and that. They all come together and they're going to kill cops, they said, and this and that. Did you people not see them standing in front of the cops and say, it's not happening? They had enough. They had enough. They didn't want to see their city torn down, that they had enough respect for the police that they were going to stand up for them. Those were all active gang members. I mean, quit using this bull crap that you see on the internet.
Bobby, they actually did. The Bloods and the Crips did actually say that.
Well, yeah, they did.
It wasn't
I know.
It wasn't internet rhetoric. It was actually the Crips and the Bloods. But if you recall, they did the same thing in Ferguson. After Ferguson, when they had the marches all across the country, the Bloods and the Crips in California actually got together and said, let's do this. And it was shortly after that 2 police officers in New York City were assassinated in their vehicle.
Well, yeah, but you know what? But see, these people are going above and beyond. They're posting these, these articles and these, whatever bullcrap stories, that I don't even know where the hell they're getting them from. But we even have posted videos of active Bloods and Crips and everything that were interviewed by the news. Okay, I don't know if it was Fox or whoever it was. And they sat down and did like a little interview with these guys, and it was members from each group. And they said, by no means have we come together to kill police or anybody else. We want peace in our neighborhood and in our city. We want this to end. We don't want no violence. We don't want to see stores being looted and rioting and all this other stuff. And that's why they stood up, and went in front of the police. Now, who were they, what gang or whatever, I don't know. I mean, nor does anybody else. But the whole thing is, these people are still latched onto this story, and they post this same story every day. All these gangs across America are going to start killing the police and this and that. Let me tell you something. I come from Chicago, okay? One of the roughest cities right now. Murder rate is through the roof already this year, okay? They've had so many murders. Thank God we moved to the suburbs. I mean, we lived in a bad neighborhood a long time ago, but, I mean, where we lived at now, it was a good neighborhood. I've lived in a good neighborhood for a long time, and we didn't see the kind of violence that's going on right now. But gangbangers, I mean, yeah, I grew up in bad neighborhoods. I've seen gangs my whole life and hung out with people and whatever, okay? But most of the stuff that you see and people saying, oh, nationwide, do you have any idea what kind of impact gangbangers would have if they had a unity and they were not fighting each other and they had a pact and a treaty with one another? Do you have any idea what kind of impact they could have on this whole world? There are more gangbangers, guns, money, drugs, so on and so forth. If they came together as one and put all their differences to the side,
right,
who knows what the hell could happen? They could probably overpower the government. Do I encourage that? No, not at all. Okay, would I want to see that happen? Not really, not unless I knew they were on my side. Unless I knew that they were standing up for the United States and saying, no ISIS is going to come over here and do anything on our watch because we're bigger and badder than you. You know what I mean? If it was something like that, then yeah, by all means.
Well, they're not going to do that, Bobby. They're going to
I know that.
Like this little Demetrius guy walking up to an unmarked police car, putting a gun in a man's face and pulled the trigger just because he could. He approached him. He had something in his waistband, and they asked him, inquired, and he pulled his weapon and fired into the face of this police officer, who subsequently, at the young age of 25 years, has passed away. Do we have a problem across the board with militant-minded, power-mongering police officers? Yes, we do. Do we need to address that situation? Absolutely. But we don't need to get out in our cities, whether it's whites or blacks. Hell, we had a bunch of white people up in Oregon doing it the other day. I had to humbly correct my statement when I stated that, whites are not getting out in the street and destroying things and blah, 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 blah. Well, they didn't attack other races, but they did get out and taunt the police. They were riding up in Oregon this weekend, and they were very destructive. It was a bunch of little stupid-ass, trashy white people that didn't know how to protest properly, turned into a riot, throwing Molotov cocktails, destroying cars and businesses, and attacking the police, throwing things at the police. We do need to stop the madness. We really do. But you and I both know that this is being funded by certain entities, communist organizers, city organizers. The government is paying for it. Bobby, honestly, Patriots can't organize a free and bake sale and get together. I mean, Garland was one of the biggest turnouts we've ever had in 4 years that I've been involved with the Patriot movement. That was the biggest turnout we've had in Texas. We just don't show up.
That's probably one of the biggest that we've had nationwide.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously. Now, this is no knock to anybody, and I'm just going to tell you what I know. The Red, White, and Blue Festival that was this past weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah. The Red, White, and Blue Festival that they had this past weekend, not a good turnout. And most of the people from that state didn't even turn out. Where the hell are you people? I mean, yeah, they had a little bit of a turnout, but they were expecting people from their own area. I know guys that were there. Okay, they had a good turnout from, like, different biker organizations and stuff, that are all about Patriot movement and stuff. By all means, that's wonderful. But, they were expecting people from the militias and stuff like that. They didn't even come. It's bad.
It is. It's terrible because, and I've discussed this on so many shows, Bobby, not just ours, but on others. You got a whole lot of lip service and a whole lot of people out there talking about how badass they are and what they've done, and I was this and I was that, and I'm going to uphold my oath. And this is what I say to them: shut up and sit down, because you just told me you're going to uphold your oath, and we are still experiencing the unrest and the tyranny coming out of Washington, dividing this nation and taking away our rights and impoverishing people and opening up borders and allowing terrorists, funding terrorists to come into this country, and they're here to kill us. People are losing lives because of this regime. And all they have to do is not just, be about it. Don't just talk the talk. Be about it. And we'd be in a better place. But they won't even get off the couch and get in their car and buddy up and share the gas costs and take a tent and go stay at a cheap campground somewhere if they have to because they can't afford a hotel, and bathe in a truck stop and pack a cooler with food so you don't incur a huge hit, and just show up. They won't show up at their own municipal, their city meetings. They won't go to the town hall and go to an open meeting. They just don't show up. More than a handful of people just don't show up. But,
Well, you know who I feel sorry for, Becky? The promoters. The people that put their hearts and souls and, all that type of stuff into it.
Oh, yeah.
I feel sorry for them, and they're the ones that, it just, oh, my God. You know what, let's go to the phone. I believe that we have some callers. Let's see. I think we got the 860 area code. Let's see. Bring that one up. 860, who do we have? Hang on. Press the button, the microphone button.
It's on.
Okay, 860, who do we have?
Area code 860, who we got? I guess they went showering me.
Okay, is it unmuted?
Yes, it was unmuted. Area code 860, is that you, Karen?
I hear somebody now.
Hello? Area code 860, we've opened up your mic. You've just joined us. Apparently not. Okay, Bobby, I think they don't want to speak. They didn't have their hand up. They just came up on the board.
But anyway, I thought they had their hand up.
Yeah, I mean, when you've got 50, 60, 70, and sometimes even hundreds of young black individuals that go out and decide they're going to thug, they can organize in literally a matter of hours by social network. And we should be ashamed as a patriot community that we can't organize to be at one location at any given venue by more than a handful of people. What was the head count on Red, White, and Blue, Bobby?
You know, I don't know, Becky, to be honest with you. I don't know. I know some people that are there. Do you know Joker J?
Yeah.
Joker J was there. Jason, he was like pissed. The first day that he was there, he was like super pissed. And I forgot his last name, Jason B. I'm not going to say his last name because I can't remember, but even if I did, I wouldn't put him on the spot like that. But Joker J, he went and he was like, you know, he was pretty pissed off the first day that he was there because he's like, you know, you people say that you're coming out to these things. People put a lot of work into them, you know, and they put their hearts and their souls in it, and, you know, they try to do the best that they can, you know, to promote these things and everything else. And where are all you people at? He traveled across the country.
Yeah.
It was in Florida. It was in Florida.
You got that going on, and then you have instances where somebody will pay the fee to set up a conference line, invite 800 or 900 people, will confirm, and maybe 100 will show up on a damn phone call, Bobby. Seriously, you can't even hold your commitment to show up on a phone call. That's pretty sad. After you've already dedicated yourself to a confirmation on it, and then you don't show up. I mean, that's how ridiculous it is. This is absolutely how insane the unorganized are just ridiculous. It's terrible. You know, Bobby, across the board, Doc Green, I know, sunk a lot of money into a couple of events down here in Houston, in Austin. And I'm talking $5,000-$6,000 out of his own pocket, and then we have patriots who will throw in money for a big event as a sponsorship, and you're still, with entertainment, with live speakers, people who have direction and knowledge, and people are still not showing up. Seriously, it was like 20 people at one event, 60 people at another event with weeks' notice, you know, months sometimes notice. We're still not getting the program together. So we've got to figure out a way across the board, Bobby, where we can stop the madness and get people on to understand the detriment we're in, and that sitting in your house bitching on a keyboard is not going to get us anywhere. It's just not.
Well, I'll tell you something. We've already devoted ourselves on Memorial Day weekend. They are having an event in my town where they are going to have something for the veterans, and then there's going to be guard there. I'm trying to remember the name of it. Actually, if my wife would want to chime in and say what it is, because I can't remember, or maybe she could text me the name of it. I cannot remember the name of it for the life of me, but they're going to have the changing of the guard.
I'm looking for the information right now. I'm looking.
Okay. All right. But they're going to have the changing of the guard. They're going to have, all types of stuff in my city. We're going to go out and support it. We may even, depending upon how big it is, I may go out there and, talk about the show and see if, we got any patriots in the area. And you never know. Maybe we'll even try to do some interviewing of some people for the show, and record some audio, and maybe we can play it on the show for a later time, or maybe we'll even do a video and put it on our YouTube channel. I don't know. We'll figure out something. We'll be a little bit creative about it, but my family is going to go out and support it wholeheartedly. My wife is the one that found the information about it, and it's something that I definitely would want to do, by all means.
Awesome. Good work, Denise. Way to go, sis.
I found it. It says, the Village of Streamwood Veterans Memorial Commission invites you to the 2015 Memorial Day weekend observance at Streamwood Veterans Memorial, located next to the Village Hall. The 2015 Memorial Day observance will begin on Saturday, May 23rd, with a candlelight vigil at 8 p.m. Throughout the night, vigil guards will march past the monoliths. The vigil guard will be relieved on Sunday, May 24th at 11 a.m. to formally start the Memorial Day ceremony. That is it.
Awesome.
Yep. Sounds like we're definitely going. So we've already talked about it. So yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Expecting that we're probably going to have some possible incidents here in Texas based on some of the threats that are being made that Memorial Day weekend. So I would encourage all the people in the state of Texas to, even across the country, to be especially cautious.
Nationwide.
Yeah, to be very, very cautious. Be especially cautious. Watch your surroundings. Watch for incoming vehicles into an area that are flying at a rapid pace and shouldn't be, or individuals that may look a little odd, or just acting funny. You know, just be mindful. I mean, these people mean a lot of harm, and when they mean a lot of harm, they want to take a bunch of people out at one time. Generally, it's not a target of one or two people. They usually want to go into a crowd and make a serious impact. So you guys watch what you're doing with your families and be safe. Be safe. Well, Bobby, a couple other things are going on. David Michael Lynch. You and I both have tried to get David Michael on the show. He has announced, he had just recently announced he was going to run for president. I don't know if you watched the video he put out with his apology. He was only able to raise $27,000 for his campaign. He needed to raise $25,000 in order to get his foot in the gate. It would cost $50,000 for him to actually attend a debate to get up on the stage, and his health is failing. He's got severely high cholesterol. He did make a public apology, and there's a video out there, but he has retracted himself from the race. So he is taking himself out. Yeah.
Well, you know what? Here, I actually went on to his, because I'm in his group. You guys probably wouldn't be able to find it because it's not a public group. But I was in his group. He's got a bunch of videos, okay? And his what the hell? He's got a bunch of videos that he puts into, his page, and it's where he sits in front of a video screen and talks and, whatever and stuff like that, and talks about different issues and stuff. I didn't know that he pulled out. That sucks.
Yeah, I watched the video early this morning, and he's pulled out. He will no longer be running for president of the United States, and he's having some health issues. It's taken a heavy impact on his family. The stress is not something that he can endure at this point, and his frustration is you can see his frustration. He had a lot of frustration. It was very difficult for him to do the video.
Yeah, that's bad news because, I don't think he had a chance in hell, to be honest with you. I think he had a good platform. I think that he brought up very, very good issues to be debated. And do I think that he could be a candidate? I actually do think he could be a candidate, but you know what? I don't think that he could be a candidate under the platform that he's running because I hate to say it, but we're never going to have an independent that's ever going to make the presidency. And now, we've talked about this a million times. We all know that, voting is nothing. It means not a damn thing on a national level. We've talked about this so many times. I, myself, and I think Becky agrees with me, I don't think that when you vote for a president that your vote counts for anything. I think they know who the president's going to be far and well in advance to the actual voting time and when it happens and all that. I think maybe on a local level or something maybe, but not on a national level. I don't think so.
Yeah. An independent will never get into office as long as we have crooked voting. It's not going to happen. They've turned this into the biggest person wins it game. Whoever can buy off the lobbyists, whatever campaign has raised the most money across the board for the past 30 years, is generally the victor at the poll, and that tells you something right there. But the electoral college is who puts the president in vice position, and they are not dictated by either a federal constitutional law that states they have to vote according to the popular vote in their area. They're like the lobbyists and the politicians. They're all bought off. They've proven it time and time again. The whole voter fraud and aliens are going to get the vote. The foreign invaders are going to get the vote. You don't have to be a citizen now to vote. It's all theater. It's meant to keep us distracted. It's meant to keep us pissed off and divided. It's meant to create hot points for the debate, keep people glued to it, to make the American citizens feel like they're actually a part of something that they're not, that they actually have a say-so in who they pick and choose as government for this country, and that's simply not the case, Bobby. And I'm not saying that based on opinion. I'm saying that based on research, period. History and research, evidence. Anybody that doubts what I just said is absolute, is not true. I encourage you to do your own research and understand how the electoral college is run, what changes the demographics for the number of votes that come out of any particular state, how they choose the states that actually have the electoral votes coming out of them, and you'll understand why they strategically have placed many foreigners in certain areas of certain states in order to try to change the color of the state from red to blue or blue to red.
Yeah, to me it's a crock of crap any way you look at it. No matter how you try to explain it to somebody, there is no good explanation for it. Oh, don't forget about the electoral college and, this and that. How about this? If the guy's got 4 million votes and the other guy has 3 million, how about the guy that has 4 million wins? Not he's got 4 million, but he's got more college electoral votes and the other guy's only got 3 million votes. How the hell does that work out? Doesn't make a damn bit of sense to anybody. But you know what? People don't even be tricked would be a good word. Don't even be tricked by that system, okay? I, myself, do not think for 1 second that one vote that you place for anybody running for president counts. I'm telling you right now, I think that the damn votes don't, they don't register or anything else. All that it is they know who the hell the president's going to be well in advance. So
of course
that's just my personal feeling.
Yep, you'd be correct. Yep. So we've got Ben Carson. He stepped up to the plate, and he's thrown his hat in the arena. I think right now we've got 300 and some odd people. Isn't that what they said? 300 and some odd people vying for the presidency. You got some corporate woman. I don't know who she is. Cisco, maybe? No, maybe it wasn't Cisco. I don't remember. There's some female that just stepped up to the plate as well. So, we know who's going to be president. I'm guessing it's going to be Hillary, and I'd almost lay money on it. They're going to put that murderer in place. She's the most ruthless.
Of course they are. It's either going to be her or Jed. It ain't going to be anybody else. Everybody, Rand Paul, Ron Paul, whatever, Paul this, Paul that. It's not going to be anybody other than somebody in the spotlight. And I'm going to guess that it's going to be Hillary Clinton. As much as I hate to say it, and all the Democrats that I know, they all, oh, Hillary, that's all they talk about. Hillary's going to keep doing the great job that Obama's doing, and blah blah blah. And look at the job rates right now, and this and that. Yeah, he's got better job rates. Yeah, there's not as much unemployment. But why is the deficit as much as every president prior to him combined? I understand he walked in and we were already in debt, but not in debt to where you could take every president's dollar amount from history and put it together, and it still would not equate to how much we owe because of this clown.
Oh, my God. Bobby, do you know how much money he spends, he and his wench spend on vacations? The average, it was 1.7 the first 3 years. It's $2.4 billion. Let that resonate. $1 billion.
Do you know why? Do you know why? The security detail by itself is millions of dollars. Millions of dollars every time. Here, I watched a show, okay, and I don't know how much they really tell you or whatever. It's a pretty good show, and it's called The American Book of Secrets. Right. And each show is about something different. One was about the White House. One was about Secret Service. And they tell you things that you probably shouldn't know, okay? So they were talking about Air Force One, and they were talking about Secret Service. And they said every time the president moves, he's got 4 or 5 security details all over the place. He's got one that flies with him on the plane, one that's already at the place that he's going to, one that's at whatever, they get him all set up in pinpoint places, and then he's got, the guys that ride in the cars. The security detail that he comes in with on the plane stays at the airport while he gets in the car and rides with the second security detail, okay? Then the third security detail is already set up wherever the hell he's going. Then, you know what I'm saying? There's so many security details that are attached to this thing. It's sickening. And the money that is paid on a daily basis for his security detail is over $2 million.
Yeah, well, I mean, you couple that with Michelle Obama needs 22 personal assistants. What the hell does that bitch need 22 assistants for? Any first lady in the White House has never had more than 3. On an average, it's 2. What is that? What is it that you spend? You think you can spend $16 billion of our money in 6 years on vacation and luxury?
I don't know. What is? I mean, Camp David isn't good enough, I guess. You know what I mean? Yeah,
he doesn't like it. Michelle doesn't like it. That's already been announced. But you think about what $16 billion could do for homeless people in America, for the veterans, for the orphans, for, a number of things, for Christ's sake.
Well, you're on the right path because you know what? I'm all about that. The homeless people, well, let's start with the veterans, okay? Start with them, the guys that don't have anything. Let's try to, lower the suicide rate, do something that might help out with that, and then the guys that are homeless and people that don't have food and, so on and so forth, and then maybe, shelters and whatever. I'm all about that, I mean, we're always running off trying to help out all these other countries and, putting all the money, giving them a bunch of money for this and that and, and then every time we do something and blow stuff up, we got to give them money because we blew stuff up over there or whatever. How about screw them? How about take care of the people here at home? Okay, I say you start off with the veterans that don't have a place to stay. Forget about letting them stay in some kind of, in some kind of safe haven or, in a shelter or something like that. I mean, give them a place where they can all be there for one another. Because you know what? Look, all these people that are committing suicide for whatever reason, all these veterans, maybe if there was a group of them together staying in the same place, I don't know, maybe like a house that's just for veterans, maybe they can help one another out because they would be working through the same problems together. Does that make any sense? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, let's try to help out people. I mean, I love a feel-good story. Here, I mean, I'm not going to be telling stories out of school. For a couple of years, Denise and I wanted to teach our kids and teach our family stuff, and we wanted to be able to give back at Christmas time and stuff. So we started working at the church. And at Christmas time, Easter time, and stuff like that, we would work the food lines and feed the homeless people. It made us feel better. I mean, and we were trying to teach our kids something, and more of our family members got involved and everything. We did Toys for Tots fundraisers a couple of years in a row. We worked with the Marine Corps to raise, toys and money and stuff for kids and stuff like that. And, we try to give back, and we try to donate to they have this thing called Darts for Kids. I'm not trying to turn this about me, okay? So nobody say, look at you, bragging. No, not at all. What I'm trying to say is I wish more people would do things. Little things matter, okay? There's these guys that make these videos on YouTube. Denise loves the videos, and she plays them all the time and always puts them on her page. But these guys go around and do things for people. Like one day he acted like he was a homeless guy, and he was giving people money instead of asking for money.
Oh, I saw that.
That was an awesome video. If there would be more people out there in this world that would be willing to do little things for homeless people and for other people that don't have anybody, especially at holidays and stuff like that, I think that this world would be a better place.
I do too.
And I'm not just saying that. I mean, that's how I feel. That's me personally. A lot of people might not agree with me. Oh, well, I mean, I'm telling you what I think and how I feel and how we're trying to raise our kids. I mean, we're trying to have our kids make a difference on the world.
Right.
I'm not a perfect person by any means, and I have a bad past, but, I mean, there's nothing I can do about that now. I can't change anything about that. I can only do, for now and what the future holds and everything else. I can't dwell on my past. But I can damn sure make sure that my kids and my grandkids try to make a difference in this world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, it starts like that, brother. In order to create a wave, you have to have a trickle, And in order to create a trickle or a ripple, you just have to cast one little pebble. You'd be the pebble, when you're doing that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know what? Let me give out the phone number again, 294773565. Anybody that wants to jump in, you have anything to say, anything to share, anything. Just give us a call and, jump on in here with us and, any feel-good stories, whatever. Tom just actually texted me. He's in a meeting. He's trying to get away from the meeting because he wants to spend at least 30 minutes, maybe 45, something like that with us. So he's trying to get out of the meeting right now because he just sent me a message asking me what time we get off the air. So anybody that's waiting on Tom, then by all means, he should be there. So, all right. Am I on? Are we going?
Are you there?
Is Becky gone? Oh, there you go.
No,
I don't know what happened.
I don't either. I kept saying hello, hello, hello. I'm here, brother. We've covered a lot of issues today that are disheartening. I mean, in Baltimore, I don't know if you heard about it, but one of those little thug yeehaws that get out there in the street, they still got a problem in Baltimore. Actually, his gun discharged, but it didn't hit anybody, and they were holding his weapon. And, of course, all the little thugs get up on the cops like they've done something wrong when they handcuff the guy. So I don't know if you heard about that. we've got so much going on, Bobby. I don't know. I know that something big's coming. I just don't know what it's going to be. There's so much distraction.
Well,
there,
there's
brother?
yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry. I just keep muting myself because I don't want you to, be drowned out by my. Well, I'm not truck noise because I just got in my car a minute ago, but this car, because it makes a noise in the background, but because it's a stick shift. But yeah, little. They say baby steps. You know what I mean? But in this case, we can't do baby steps. Baby steps is way too late. If we only do baby steps, we're in trouble. I mean, we got to start making some big, giant, steps here, and we got to start walking, tall, and doing whatever the hell we got to do because this is not gonna work. I mean, yeah, us doing shows and everything is great, but I mean, we talk mostly about the same information because nobody's changing anything. So the same crap is happening over and over and over again because nobody is rising up and nobody's grabbing this thing, by the balls, we'll say, and making a change. Okay? We don't have the type of leadership that we need. Okay? We talked about this a long time ago. We found out that, a lot of these politicians that we thought were going to lead us to the promised land ended up being, everything other than what we thought they were. Okay?
Yeah.
We thought Trey Gowdy was going to be this knight in shining armor, that he was going to get Congress to make some changes and go after Obama and this and that. Okay? Well, if that was true, why did he vote the same way that Obama did on the amnesty issue?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I mean, these people are not who you think they are, people. Okay, you guys, all the time I see people, Trey Gowdy's the best. He's this, he's that. Yes, I love listening to him in Congress, but look at what he votes on and the way that he votes. I would say 75% of the things of the bills that gets passed by him that Obama puts in front of him, he votes the same way Obama does. Why is that?
Absolutely, because it's one party, and then you've got the likes of these minions that are doing getting paid handsomely. Let's just pick one. How about that idiot Al Sharpton? We know he's being paid by the government. We know that Rand Paul is buddied up to him in the Senate diner facility there at the mall. We got pictures of them, being buddies and everything. They orchestrate all these huge problems across the country of protesting Black Lives Matter BS. All lives matter, okay? It's not just black. All lives matter. And he goes and he makes it. This is how much clout this clown, this criminal, this thug that has incited murder against police officers, and officers have died because of his bullshit. He goes and he calls the president and Congress. He's got a direct line and entry into national secured facilities, and then he. The DOJ is going to pump in $50 million into these little bite camps for the police officers because Al Sharpton is calling for them to be federalized. They want to make the police departments more militant or more federalized, but it's all under the guises of they need to be monitored. So they're turning them into a militant federal police force, and at the same time chastising them and pushing them into a corner with their lives being threatened, police officers being executed to conform to the DOJ's request for them to be more militant. They buy them out. They whore them out with goodies and candies. It's kind of like it's like when you start dating somebody for the first time. You get your little girlfriend on the line. You take her flowers, and she thinks you're pretty cool. And then you take her to a nice dinner, and she thinks you're really cool. And then next thing you know, you get married, and you bought her the big ring, and the next thing you know, you go buy her first car, and she thinks you're the best thing since gravy. that's what they're doing to our police departments. They're giving, you know, the MRAPs and the AKs and the special, you know, armor program that they've got going on. And now you got some asshole, some asshat that's a criminal, Al Sharpton, who's best buddies with our government, and he's calling for them. He's got so much clout, he can call the DOJ and tell them we need you to federalize the police departments, and they are complying to the tens of millions.
Hey, Becky, you're, I believe the person that you've been waiting to call is called in, 214 area code.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's going to be Wendy. Let's bring her on. Wendy.
Yes. Hi. I'm sorry.
Hey,
I'm late.
sister.
Sorry,
how
I'm
are
late.
you doing? How are you doing?
I'm good.
Well,
I just got off the phone with attendant here at the GISD is who I was talking with because I'm just so livid. I don't know what to do.
Well, that's good news. Let me introduce Wendy to you folks. Wendy is a lovely, well-spoken young lady that I met at the rally in Garland when we were protesting the Muslims at the convention center where the terrorists shot an officer last night and lost their life, where we were holding the freedom of speech program for the cartoon drawings of Muhammad. Wendy reached out to me. She called me just as soon as she found out what was going on. She lives in Garland, and she's a very concerned mother and very concerned citizen about the incident that occurred last night, and she participated in the rally. And the way that I met Wendy is there was a very disrespectful Muslim that got up in her face at the rally that we attended, and he called her ignorant. It pissed me off. I stepped up and started screaming at him. And Fox, wasn't it Fox 4, Wendy, that came over and interviewed you? Is that who it was?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So this is how I met Wendy. Wendy is one of us. She's a devout mother, God-fearing woman, a wife, and she has some information to share today. So I'm going to go ahead and let you have the floor, Wendy. Go ahead. Tell us what you've been doing today.
Okay, welcome aboard, Wendy. Welcome aboard.
Well, thank you. Well, the only really new information I have is my main concern, and what made me so angry was that my husband and I had went to the school board meeting here back in January when we first got wind of this Stand with the Prophet thing that took place there in January at the Curtis Colwell Center, and they pretty much sloughed us off in the board meeting and was so just pious and pompous, like this is not a big deal, and they're not radical and this and that. And we were trying to, there were, I don't know how many parents spoke up. And, one guy literally just gave them the history of Muhammad and just explained that, this is all a lie. This is how they come across. And once they get a footing in here, then they're going to be introducing Sharia, making us, they do not assimilate. They want to dominate. And basically, at the school board meeting, they just pretty much said, well, we're not going to discriminate. We wouldn't discriminate against Hindus. We wouldn't discriminate against Catholics. We wouldn't discriminate. So he goes down this long road of just mess. And we were screaming out, yeah, but Hindus aren't chopping people's heads off. Baptists aren't chopping people's heads off, And so he basically threatened to call security, on us. So we basically left that meeting. So after this went down on yesterday, and by the way, I do agree. I haven't heard the rest of this conversation because I've been running around, but I do agree with what this lady, I think her name was Pamela.
Yeah,
I do agree with what she did. Yes, I hear a lot of people, I've been listening to media today, and I've heard a lot of people say, well, she was picking with them, and she was inciting them, and she was this. And I'm like, people, get a clue. If you're not one of them, you're an infidel, and it doesn't take anything to incite them. You just not being one of them is grounds enough for your head to be chopped off. And when I called earlier again the district, because I feel like what they've done is allowed our children here in the GISD to become an international target, because who knows how these people are going to retaliate. And I'm like, the very fact that that building is connected, with the GISD, and people are hearing that all over the world, you don't know how they're going to retaliate. So when I finally spoke with him, he listened to me, and I explained to him. I said, what you did was you chose money over the safety of our children. It's what you did. I said, I don't know how much money these people offered you to be able to do what they did in that building, but whatever it is, you chose that over the safety of our children. And he listened to me, and I explained to him. I said, I'm speaking for myself, but I'm sure other parents would feel the same way. If you have to outlaw all religious activity in there, and I'm Christian, but even if you have to outlaw our activities, do that if it means keeping them out of here. And I said, I don't think I stand alone on that. And so he told me, he said, well, what I want you to know is that we have been speaking with attorneys, working with attorneys for the last 6 to 8 weeks. He said it was not just since yesterday, since this shooting happened. He said, but what we're trying to figure out is how to legally restrict rights to the building. He said, by that being a taxpayer-funded building, he said, we're less, how did he put it? In other words, we're more restricted as far as denying anyone, more so than if it was a privately owned building. He said, because anyone has rights to be there just like any other group would have a right to be there if they pay taxes. He said, so it's not that we chose their money over the voices of our parents. It's just that we didn't have a legal leg to stand on by denying them. But he said that's why we're meeting with attorneys now, because we've got to figure out a way to restrict this. And he said that's what we're working on now. I asked him, okay, what about security in our schools? I noticed when I rode by Naaman School right by the Curtis Colwell building, that high school had police. I don't know if it was FBI or police or whatever, but they had all kind of security around it. I said, well, my children's not in that school. They're in another one. What about that? I said, and when I dropped them off, they didn't have that kind of security. And he said, well, we are monitoring social media. He said, because most times that's how, they talk about what they're going to do. He said, we are closely monitoring that. And we, our faculty is on alert, this, that, and the other. He said, so you don't have that to worry about. He said, if we need more security, it will not come down to a money issue. We will, at the drop of a dime, make sure every one of our kids, safety is secured. But he said, hopefully by CNN and a lot of the national media, by them not referring to it as GISD, they're referring to it as the Curtis Colwell Center in Garland. Hopefully the rest of the world is not connecting, the school district with it, because that's my biggest concern right now, that it's reached this level, is the safety of our kids. So
well,
that's pretty much.
Wendy, you know what has happened? One of the things that you could have come back at him with was one of the event speakers was a co-conspirator, and another speaker was actually the head of CAR out of the Houston chapter, and they have ties to the Muslim Brotherhood, and they have been investigated. But the problem is Obama and his regime have changed the terminology when it comes to terrorists and terrorism, and they have forbidden the agencies and the courts to tie the hands of anybody that wants to come up against Islam. Islamic leaders that are known to be tied to terrorism, they're saying they're not terrorists. And so your legal recourse, so I understand what he's saying, their legal recourse to deny, which they should have been able to do based on those two factors alone, a convention
but you know what,
that.
Becky, they were told that like 4 times in that school board meeting. It was a lady that literally pulled up the GISD policy and read it back to them that said that the basis that it could be denied, them doing it. And they was like, no, that doesn't apply to this. But what you just mentioned about the co-conspirator, the speaker there in January, they were told that about 4 or 5 different times by different speakers, and it just was of no effect. And we were like, what else can we do?
Well, they've been given a directive, honey, and you have to go to your city council. You guys need to get down to your city council You need to get in front of your mayor, and you need to deny them to continue to operate in the fashion that they're operating in. Those are elected officials, and they can be removed. They can be redressed, but you're going to have to get a little bit of homework under your belt in order to understand how you actually remove them before election.
Right,
but it actually can be done. And fortunately for you, you're in the right group to find those people that can give you direction. You're probably being managed under a UN corporation that is called ICLEI. That's an acronym. It's ICLEI. I would encourage you to look up and see if the city of Garland is under ICLEI management. If it is, they are taking the directives from the UN management program. And they will not, they support Islam. That will not change until you remove them and get ICLEI out of your community. Go ahead, Bob.
Okay, and that's say that again, IC what?
ICLEI, ICLEI. I need you to find out if Garland is being managed by ICLEI. If it is, you guys have been taken over. They're managing your municipalities. They're managing your government, your local government there. And if that's the case, you've got a fight ahead of you, but it can't be done. Bobby, did you have some questions for Wendy?
I just actually wanted to ask probably some questions that a lot of people are wondering. Now, I'm wondering if some information hasn't come out as of yet, if there was actually more people involved with this thing last night that the police just has not talked about because they don't want to scare anybody or they don't want to tell the mainstream media about it or whatever, that there may have been, a couple other people that may have been arrested in the area or, that may have been in Coles that just got away when they saw what happened with the other two or something. You know what I mean? I have a feeling that there was a lot more people that were going to be involved in this thing. They just didn't get it off the ground.
Well, I don't know. It's funny you asked that because when we first got word of it happening, shortly right after it happened, we got in our car and drove. It's literally up the street from where we live. So me and my husband got in our car and drove up there to the site. And, of course, we could only get so far because the police had the road shut off. But there were people standing on the corner. And we stopped and talked to them and asked them what was going on. And they told us that they had evacuated the Sam's right there on the corner and the Walmart next to it, and that there was a guy with a grenade in the Walmart. And so we were I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what the people that were standing outside told us when we drove up. Now, there was a third person. Yeah,
I was going to say, I saw that reported on a bunch of places today, too, and people were actually trying to, find out if there was any truth to it or not, and I don't think anybody ever really had a chance to debunk it, but I wouldn't be surprised, that's for sure, but I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Right. Oh, and I was just going to say, and then I only got this from what the police, I think everybody probably heard this, at the conference that the police gave. They said they arrested another person, not arrested, but he was detained. He was held, and then once they figured out he did not have anything to do with it, he was let go. But my question was, and I wish someone would ask the question, well, what made you detain him in the first place? Why did you question that he was maybe one of them? So I never heard any more about that. That's been kind of quiet, so I don't know.
Let me just ask you, because you live in Garland, okay, what kind of changes have been going on there, and have you been seeing a lot more activity from, Muslims or any other kind of groups? Because, I know in the last couple of years, that area's went through a dramatic change. I know that. And I don't know how long you've been there.
I've lived here in Garland since 1992, 3, one of those years. But as far as any more activity with the Muslims, You know, I really can't say I've noticed. I mean, there's a lot of them, but I cannot say that I've noticed an increase at this certain point or at this time or, you know, anything like that. I can't say that. But I do know in Richardson here, which is just right up the street from Garland, I don't know what group that was, but they were linked to funding terrorist activity. And the FBI came down here then, and they shut that business down because they had terrorist links. And that was right there in Richardson. And that was a big deal. And that was, maybe 2 years ago, last year or 2 years ago? I can't keep up with the timing of it. But I don't know why Garland is the target. I mean, I don't know why they're coming here as far as with these meetings in January. I don't even understand why Garland. You know, I don't know.
Well, I know why Texas. Because if they take Texas and the changes are made to Texas, they've got everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I'm here.
Well,
I'm here.
The place that did the event, you know, that held the event when you guys did that conference, I used to live right down the street from it, and believe it or not, it's a video store. The guy that funded that event, you know, the Muslim conference. It's on a street here in Chicago called Devon, Devon, and what Devon Avenue is from, it's like a 2-mile radius. It's all owned by Hindus, Pakistanis, Arabians, so on and so forth, and that's all that owns businesses in that whole block for like a 2-mile stretch, and the person that, you know, funded all that stuff, you know, the Muslim conference, that was, I used to live right down the street from there. And you know what? To me, I don't know any different because I lived in that neighborhood forever, and that's all you see. That's the only kind of people you see. So, you know, to me, you know, I would never have, you know, to me, something like, you know, they did at that place, you know, in Texas, to me, that would have just been a normal, average, everyday thing because of the area that I lived in. You know. So.
Yeah, it's not that prevalent. I would not say it's that prevalent there now. I mean, it's not like when you look around you see, you know, Muslims just everywhere. No, it's not like that.
Well, that's good. Well, I just, you know, I'm very proud of Texas. I mean, I live in Illinois, used to live in the city, and my wife, you know, got me smart enough to move out to the suburbs. And we're in a pretty nice area now. But, you know, I just know one thing about Texas is they showed up, okay?
Oh, yeah.
All these other, you know, things that we've got going around the nation, you know, all these other I don't know. We'll just say in Washington, Operation this, Operation that, whatever. You know, and you've got, I don't know, we'll just use a number, 50 people show up. You know, when you're expecting thousands, Texas by far showed up with the biggest numbers out of any event that we've had this year. And you know, I think Texas will stand up if they are forced to stand up.
Yes, and that's why we cannot have our police forces. I got in on a little bit when I called in. I heard what you guys were discussing. But we cannot have our local police officers nationalized like that as far as militarily go, because I guarantee you, if the FBI would have been in control of this event and there would not have been local Garland police there, I guarantee you they would have got in that building. I just have that feeling. I just do.
Well, I actually was telling Becky that, you know what, I think they did one hell of a job. Because,
they did.
I mean, besides, you know, the poor security guard that's not even armed or anything is standing out there, you know, just standing out there being a traffic guard pretty much. You know, I mean, as soon as these two jokers get out of the car, they get blasted. I mean, that's a wonderful job. Because I told Becky, if they would have gotten that building, do you have any idea what kind of casualties we'd be talking about now?
Oh, yeah. I think they said it was about 200 in there. Yeah. Yeah, it would have been a catastrophe. And you know, I thank God for the Garland. I mean, we've got that reputation here anyway. The Garland police officers. That, I mean, it's just no nonsense. No, don't mess with Texas. They carry that slogan very.
Yeah. Well, you know
literal,
what? The police chief.
Say. It's very literal.
The police chief did an interview earlier. Okay, and I was listening to the interview, and the police chief, I mean, he was answering the questions as best as he could, and he was hitting them out of the park. But you know what? When people were asking him dumb questions, I mean, he was just like, really? Come on, next question.
Right,
you know, I mean,
right.
He was just letting them have it, you know, and I was like,
yeah.
I like this guy.
Yeah, Garland police has that reputation that don't mess with the Garland police, you know. So that did not surprise me that they showed up that way, the way they did, and was able to take him out with headshots like that, because that's just the reputation of the Garland police.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Go ahead, Beck.
I tell you what, there was one very skilled team of security that they had, and I propose that not all officers can react with such force so quickly. They were probably some of the special unit guys that had come on to do some overtime or something.
Well, they actually said
ahead.
he was a traffic police.
Kidding. Well,
yeah, he was the police officer that actually killed him. He was a traffic police officer.
Did he take them both out by himself?
Yes, he did.
Wow.
Because they were sitting. The officer that killed the two and the ISD officer who was unarmed, they were both sitting in their cruiser right there at the entryway where you drive into the Coldwell Center. It was coned off and everything. Well, those two guys, the terrorists, drove up and parked, you know, right there kind of like in front of them and got out of their car. Well, immediately when they saw them get out of the car, they got out of their car, the two officers. And that's when, you know, they said that they saw the guns come out. And then that officer was shot, the one unarmed, and then the other one just pulled his gun and bang, bang.
Wow.
But, yeah, he was a traffic officer.
Maybe he was in trouble for something and they moved him to the traffic division. He was probably some sniper or something for them.
I don't know, but
his doing well. Yeah.
Yeah, his target practice came in handy.
Yes, it did. He's qualifying just fine. They have to requalify every so often at the range, so he's doing a good job of it.
Hey, you know
right,
what?
because he.
Somebody mentioned a little bit earlier today, and I forgot about this. We talked about it a little bit. All the tweets that have been coming for the last 2 months, and all pinpointing Garland, Texas. Warriors of Islam, get to Texas and do this and do that and whatever. I mean, I'm surprised. I would be surprised if those two guys were the only ones by themselves. I'm telling you,
right?
Because they were called out by these Muslims to get their butts to, you know, that part of Texas and do something.
Wow, I did not know that.
Wendy, let me ask you a question. There was word that there was an armed individual with a grenade, and you know how you hear all kinds of stuff. They shut down Walmart. They shut down Academy. Did you find out what was going on over in that area?
No, I did not. I have not heard. I know they were reopened, but no, I did not hear any more about that.
I'm wondering
I drove through there. I drove through there right after I picked my daughter up, and they've still got the street cordoned off to where you can't drive through there. However, I didn't see anything out there. Like I didn't see the car or you know, anything like that. But yet they were letting the students of that high school, they were letting them walk through there because some of them had to walk that way to get, you know, home. So they were letting students walk through there, but they wouldn't let you drive through there. So I don't know what that's. And the helicopter, there was a helicopter still, you know, circulating the area up there. So I don't know what's up with that today.
Wow. They probably shut down Walmart and Academy because for folks who don't understand the logistics of what we're talking about, that's just around the backside of a field from the parking lot across from the Caldwell Center. Just back behind there, you've got a whole row of businesses that would have a lot of individuals in them. So maybe perhaps that was precautionary, not knowing if there were more terrorists in the area that might want to conduct a chain reaction, so to speak, or multiple incidents.
That's actually what the officer said when he gave his press conference. He said just for security purposes, they evacuated them because they did not know if, there was anyone else in there or, if anything had been planted around or in those buildings. So they just evacuated them as a precaution. But he didn't say that they actually...
I don't think this is going to be the last that we're going to be hearing about this community center in Garland, I'm telling you.
Well, I don't think so either, and this is going to bring up a huge court case, I'm sure. Wendy, you've got that hotel as well right across from the center.
Yeah.
Did they indicate whether those terrorists had actually come from that hotel? Because we know they drove in from Arizona.
Right. No, they did not. He actually he actually said they don't know for sure with 100%, surety that they drove in. They said they're pretty much assuming that they did, being that they had the luggage in the back, but they're not even for sure. At that time, the last conference I heard, that they weren't even sure how they got here or when they got here.
Well,
they did evacuate. I believe it was the Hyatt. I think there's a Hyatt across the street.
Yeah, because I used their restroom facility when I was at the rally. I did. I sure did. And the reason that I'm asking that is because the car that they were actually in had custom rims on it. So that would indicate to me that was not a rental car. That was actually someone's personal vehicle. And it would make sense to me, I would think, that if I were a terrorist driving all the way in and there was a hotel right across from the facility, that's probably where I would have lighted. That's where I would have stayed.
Right. Yeah, I did not even...
Well, I guess they can find out if there's 72 virgins now. That's for sure.
Right.
Well, yeah, they didn't get a couple of virgins. I'm betting that they didn't at all. But I bet they're getting some tongue lashing down in hell right now. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
But
either way's good.
Yeah, the sad truth of it is, it worked out. Thank God that the officer's life was not in danger. He suffered a wound to the ankle or the foot or something. That guy was a bad shot, by the way.
Right.
His sight was off on his weapon. I mean, if he's aiming at a big man, he's that close to him with the rifle, and he only gets him down in his lower extremity, like, I don't know, his foot. That guy needed some help. They said it was his leg. So we are all thanking God for that. That
I want to see that go out on the Twitter sphere. I wish they could have zoomed in, on the bodies laying in the street, because they laid out there pretty much all night, and tweeted that.
That would have been nice.
No, this is what happens when you think you're going to come to Texas. It should be that way anywhere in America, but for sure, when you come to Texas, this is what you can look forward to.
Well, yeah, and again, thank God that they didn't make it into the facility, because I'm sure that's where they were headed. If they could have gotten past those two officers, that would have they would have done everything they could to get in and create jihad. There was Bobby. Was it you that was telling me there was an imam out of England running his pork chop about what happens when you make fun of Muhammad?
Yeah, he did another interview today or whatever, and said, that's what you Americans get, when you mess with Muhammad and, this and that, and, Americans should know and be warned, that you don't talk about Muhammad and so on and so forth. It's that dumbass from London.
What is his name? I'm trying to think of his name. I'm trying to look it up real quick. because he's a real moron. He actually, Wendy, you know, the conference was in Garland, and the following day it was in Houston. Then, like 2 weeks later, there was another stand for the Prophet of Muhammad, something or other going on. And that imam actually came to that conference from England, and stood up and started running his lips about, you know, we needed to get in line with Sharia law.
Wow. And you know what really bothered me today is listening to CNN. They were pretty much blaming Pamela. I can't think of her name.
Pamela
Geller.
Geller. Geller.
Yeah,
Geller.
her. They were pretty much blaming her for this happening. I'm like, oh, my goodness, you mean we've really reached this point in America to where it's now our fault because we're exercising our rights and freedoms, and we're going to allow someone else to come here and tell us what we can and cannot do? I mean, they didn't just come out and say it, but in so many words they may as well, because, you know how they word questions. Well, wasn't this incitement? Didn't she just do this to, you know, cause attention to come to her? And I'm like, oh, my gosh. It's like, so in other words, we deserve this, but when they did the piss cross deal, had the cross of Christ submerged, a picture of it submerged in urine, you didn't see Christians going to bomb that art gallery that it was in, or going in there shooting up, you know, everyone that was in there marveling at that. And it's like, why don't we hear about that? That just really disturbs me, because it shows the moral decline and total defamation of this society. If we don't rise up and start standing for what our God-given rights, and then not just God-given, but given by the forefathers of this nation, I mean, we're done. We're done.
Yeah, you're correct. You're absolutely correct. Well, I'll read you a little bit of scripture about what this imam that was running his lips about America and us respecting their prophet, but they have no regard whatsoever for Christians. In fact, they reference us as kafirs or kuffers. It says, crucifixion of those who cause fitna or trouble in the land in accordance with the Quran, chapter 5, verse 33. The only reward for those who make war upon Allah and his messenger and strive after corruption in the land will be that they will be killed or crucified, or have their hands and feet on alternate sides cut off, or will be expelled out of the land. Such will be their degradation in the world, and in the hereafter theirs will be an unlawful doom. And this guy actually in England was born in America. He's 43 years old.
Wow.
And he is an imam that called for jihad in Birmingham, and he spoke this from the mosque in Birmingham. He said his targets are the United States, the United Kingdom, all Christians, and all Jews. Yeah, and so this guy is on a terrorist watch list. Okay, he's already on a watch list. Yet they allowed him gainful entry into America back in January to further the jihad agenda.
I believe it. I believe it.
We have a Muslim sitting as POTUS, and he's a mole. He was placed. He was not. Listen, Wendy, we had the most discouraging news last week where one of our researchers found a video from 2009, and the European Union, the European Union president announced in 2009, which was the year that Obama was placed, that we were now under a one world order government, that it had been enacted. Yes.
Wow.
We have the video, and in 2012, when he was reseated, and we had a currency reset, they stopped logging all Bureau Statistics information. So, in other words, where the people had the right to oversee expenditure and certain Bureau Statistics concerning certain things with government, you will not find them. They've stopped as of 2012. Yeah. So we've got a lot of things going on that are a lot deeper than the average citizen knows, and that's why that's why Bobby and I do what we do. We know the government doesn't like what we're doing. And when I ran for governor, that certainly was more than obvious when I had a couple of federal goons come up in my driveway and tell me, it'd be in my best interest to stop my pursuance to secede Texas. So we've seen across the board serious corruption, and it explains why he hasn't been removed. It explains why he's been able to get away with what he's been able to get away with. And we're in trouble.
And I pray there's not a martial law enacted next year when it's time for him to come out, because, a president cannot be unseated if the nation goes under martial law. And I think all this stuff in Maryland, all these riots, racial wars going on and all this stuff, I really believe that's what's leading up to that. And I wish we could see that as a nation. I wish these black communities could understand what's real, how they're being a pawn, being used, because I really believe that's what they're trying to lead up to, putting this nation in a state of martial law to where he cannot be unseated. He has to go a third term.
Well, you're correct. Well, it won't be a third term. It'll be a permanent dictatorship, because we know that we are operating under a one-world governance. We have the coup d'etat has been established. But in order to be able to finish us off, so to speak, they have to disarm us. They have to come in and control the American population. So you're correct. You're right on cue. You're on spot.
Wow.
With the Jade Helm operation.
We've got to pray.
Yes, ma'am. We do. We need to get on our knees because with the Jade Helm operation that is going on right now and Texas being painted hostile with literally hundreds of thousands of pieces of equipment being moved across the country for a so-called military exercise that was supposed to be 1,200 participating, and then it's now gone to the tens of thousands, possibly 100,000 of soldiers participating in that. And we know that it was supposed to be 7 states, oddly enough. The 7 states that were included in that were all the original territory that was taken away from Mexico and became the Texas Republic, and we're still pushing for secession here in Texas. And so now we look across the board, and they have now included several other states in the Jade Helm. So we're watching. We're on top of it.
Yes. Wow.
Well, you know what,
it's been
Becky?
Great talking to you guys.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say we're going to get ready to close it out here in a minute.
Yeah, I need to go finish my dinner. I've got a roast in the oven that's waiting for me to lay some potatoes on her and make gravy.
Oh, that sounds good. That sounds good. And my daughter's finishing up her soccer game. I'm out here at a soccer game now. So.
All right.
But thank you for the invite. I appreciate that.
You're welcome back anytime, sister, and it's been such a pleasure to talk to you again. With you goes my heart and my love, and I'll be praying for your family and the safety of your children. And if you have any breaking news, please feel free to reach out.
Okay, will do.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. It was a pleasure meeting you, ma'am.
Well, thank you, and the pleasure is the same. I do appreciate it. You guys take care, and I'll keep you in my prayers as well.
You too, love.
Thank you,
God
ma'am.
bless. Bye-bye.
Okay,
God bless.
all right. Bye-bye.
All right,
Bobby.
Becky. Yeah,
Let's wrap it up.
that was a very, very good person, a good interview and stuff. Yes, producer. When we close out the show, because Denise doesn't know, play the latest outro. That's going to give out all of our information, so we don't have to. It saves me of having to share all of our information. So, so we're going to call it a show. I'm sorry that Tom couldn't make it. I do not know why, but we got 23 seconds till countdown, and I just want to let you guys all know we are nothing without you. And I want to thank you all for listening. Becky, go ahead.
All right. I want to thank all you people who listened in today. And Wendy, God bless you. You folks keep safe out there. And until tomorrow with Casey Massey, be sure and listen to him. I believe he comes on at 7 p.m. Make sure you come back to Rage Against the Regime. Bring your friends. Casey Massey, 7 p.m. tomorrow.
Thank you for listening to Rage Against the Regime Radio. Don't be a stranger. Please like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter at RATR Podcast. And feel free to leave some feedback whenever you listen to us. You can also email us at rageagainsttheregimepodcast@gmail.com.